Hello. I am going live. This is Mary Lou Foster, a Bright Star Stamper. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Sulphur Springs, Texas, and I'm coming on today to make some cards and talk a little bit and make some more cards. And I actually have two that I'm going to do. The ones that I had set to do, most of the items I needed to do them were no longer available. And I just needed to kind of shift and reconnoiter. All right. Excuse me a minute while I fight with the iPad. You know how that goes. So I'm trying to find myself so I can monitor. Whoops, let me go back. I saw it. No, I didn't. This is crazy. So one of the cards I'm going to make for you today actually has embossing. And I think I didn't get to come on last week because, you know, sometimes life is just busy. And I didn't ever make it. So if you are joining me, please comment that you're here. I am working on getting both devices kind of up so I can monitor for comments. One of them will show me and the other one doesn't. My little granddaughter decided to come, she's 10, she's not all that little anymore, to come and spend a couple of days with me. And I didn't think it was a good thing to try to go live with her here, because she would like to take over sometimes, take over the world. Well, as you can see, the first card that I'm going to show you today uses the tags. Let me dig it out here. Celebration tag dies and stamp set. And I don't have the stamp set right here, but I do have my catalog open to the page. It's on page 67 of the little July to December mini catalog. Beginning December 1st, these things are going to go on the last chance, the retiring list. I did send an email today with that PDF, and I'm sorry I did not filter out the French and some of the other offerings as far as languages go. And they're teeny tiny. Other than copying and pasting, it's really hard to try to make that list user-friendly. But I sent the PDF, so maybe you can like pinch it in and out and enlarge and make it smaller. Some of them are going to be on a good sale. So if you have something you have your eye on, get out this catalog, get out that list. That's what I did. I just sat and went page by page. So I'm using Celebrate with Tags bundle. That is going to be one of the retiring ones. Makes me sad because it the heart-shaped dies. We might still use those even though they'll be retired. So today we're going to emboss our mittens and use kind of a non-traditional Christmas palette. I do like Pool Party. I think it's really working out nicely as a Christmas color. This has the shaded spruce. This piece of designer series paper is out of one of the host packets. Design a Daydream. I have started making myself notes on the inside. Can you see the shiny? I'm going to kind of emboss it better today. This one is not as solid as I would have liked. I did re-ink. Yes, you can re-ink your Versamark stamp pads. So I did that, and I'm going to use the Stamparatus, because remember, the fun thing about the Stamparatus is you can leave that piece of cardstock in place and re-stamp it as many times as you need to get it as dark as you would like it. Can you see the embossing detail? I got a new lamp for my birthday, so now I don't have a dark corner down here. It looks really good on my laptop. That is embossed with the Whimsical Woodland 3D embossing folder. This one will retire. I have already run it through. It's a big folder, so it does not fit in the mini stamp emboss machine. You have to use the larger one. And I keep that in another room. I don't have a firm enough surface here in my workspace. I've looked at redesigning my workspace, but that's a major operation. So I've already done the embossing. It's on a panel. This is cut 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Folds from the side, kind of a traditional card. This panel is cut 4 by 5 1/4. And then in the little card kit, there's also one that's cut the same size to go on the inside of the card. So I've done the embossing. And we're going to go ahead and get our little mittens, get our mittens ready. So today's updates also included information that the clearance rack is going to be refreshed on December the 1st as well. And that some of the dies, those partner dies, for some of the stamp sets during celebration are going to be available. I would recommend not waiting. If you got a stamp set, or if you liked the stamp set and did not get the dies, I would suggest getting on that on December the 1st, because people are fighting over some of them on some of the little Facebook groups. If you're not a demonstrator, you are welcome to purchase something and then turn right around, use it, and sell it. So there's a lot of in search ofs. I want to go ahead and put my embossing powder. I'm going to do 2 of these, but I don't want to wait to get this one embossed, because what happens eventually, this ink does dry. It's pretty sticky when it's wet, and that's why it's great for embossing, but it will dry. So I don't want this one to sit here and dry out while I'm getting the second one ready. Yeah, I think that's going to look a whole lot better. Okay, I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to get my second piece of Pool Party cardstock. And that magnet, it's vicious. Did not mark. Oop, get that out of the way. Didn't mark exactly. That should work. So I'm going to go ahead and put the magnet on the top. I just barely cut those big enough. And I did not have to clean it off since I'm using the Versamark again. I'm going to stamp it the second time just to catch some areas that might have been missed that first stamp. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead, no, I can just close that and get it out of my workspace. You would clean it with the Stampin' Chamois, but I just closed it, and it will be fine on the... Alright, so let's put our white embossing powder. Remember that our embossing powders come in packs of colors. There's the basics that are the white, the black. I don't remember which ones are in it. I just tapped the back of it just to get it cleaned off. And I did not use my embossing buddy on this one. I had already prepped it on the other one. And remember now in the this July to December mini catalog, that we have the new embossing buddy set that has the tray, the buddy, tweezers, and a brush. This is an old set. All right, it's going to get loud. But the magic of embossing is worth it, in my opinion. Because right now what I have, it's dull, it's powdery looking. So I just start in one corner. See how it's starting to change colors? It gets shiny. And as this heat gun heats up, it does not take any time at all. Y'all, that's getting hot on my thumb. So what I'm going to do is stop for a second. See these two dull places? Can you see them here and here? That means that powder is not heated enough to melt, but my thumb was catching most of the heat. How about that? And then my other one, I'm just going to go ahead and use that so I don't keep heating it. You can overcook it and it goes from shiny to dull. And if you overcook the white, it turns a funny color of off-white. I think the stamp is made to not stamp solidly, because even though I use the Stamparatus, there you go, turn that loud thing off, it still has texture and, you know, spots that, but based on how it looks here, it's just a little richer, more white. So those two will be die cut with this. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp the little sentiment. It says, "Be jolly." I'll do it in a pool party. See on my example card, it says, "Be jolly." And you just tap, tap, tap. And I got it on the edges, but it's going to be die cut out. And if I just go straight down and pull it straight up and not rock it, then I won't have that dreaded halo or ink where I don't want it. These are very hard to not get ink on the edges because they're so small. Right, so I have my little mini. Move that out of the way. Gonna need that, need that. Let's see if I can get this under here where you can kind of see. I have my little platform, and remember on the mini die cutting machine, if you don't get good, if you have trouble getting it to feed through, I have gone to the gray or the number 3 instead of using number 1. This is actually the one you're supposed to use with embossing folders, but I was having such trouble getting it to feed through the machine with the regular number 1 platform, and other demonstrators recommended trying the gray one, they kept calling it. Night and day. Now I use this little die cutter a lot. And get those lined up. And I'm going to use a piece of washi tape to hold that very, very, very small die in place, because that clear plate, that number 2 plate, is warped just a little bit. It gets a lot of use. And I would like for that to stay where I want it. You can just feed. I don't even try to line them up all nice and neat. It works. Move these out of the way so you can see it. And I'll turn it this way, and now you can see what's coming out of the back side. And I always hold my breath. I love die cutting machines. Look at that. And when you get that positioned, and I held it in place with some washi tape so it did not wiggle around on me. Push that back through. Now let's see if this one did nicely. Looks like it did. Ooh, yes. Throw those pieces away. Now I have to do the second mitten. No, I'm not going to do the little poem about kittens losing their mittens. but that's a rhyme that we use with mittens. All right. So like I said, this one is going to be retiring, this set of dies, the stamp set. I'm not sure where my stamp set is. I still have tubs set up from my card class. So I have a feeling the actual case of stamps is in a different tub. All right, let's see how it did. Looks nice. Throw that away. I always use a little magnet to keep things. So on the front, we have our piece of Pool Party. And my bone folder. Give it a little rub. And I can go ahead and mount my basic white that has been embossed with the Whimsical Woodlands. I didn't think I needed any embossing folders, but I'm glad I got this one. They are whimsical. There are all kinds of different trees on here, so you could choose where you, which trees you wanted to kind of highlight, because I did it in a different place. And then we have our piece of the Designer Series paper. It is cut 2 by 3 3/4. And it can be, you can kind of put it wherever you want to, based on which of the trees you would like to have peeking out from under it. So the fitting florets, that Designer Series paper is only available through December. The little embellishments, these are no longer available. The gold adhesive backed embellishments, you can't get them anymore. That's going to be a little bit too long, so let me cut it down to 3 3/4. I may even cut it a little bit more. Yes. Because I'm going to notch this in. You'll get to, once again, see my favorite way to notch. And I'm not the only one that does this. I was watching an Instagram reel, and this is how that demonstrator cut her flag. You just kind of go halfway between the corners and go up however far you want it. And that one can be stuck about half and half. Then there's a piece of vellum, and it's cut with one of the circles out of the Stylish Shapes. It's the third one. No, it's the second one. These are cool because they're all different. And it goes up just a little bit. Now remember, with vellum, you want to put your adhesive where it's going to be hidden by something, because it does show through. There are some adhesives that you can get that don't, but this one doesn't show much. But if you'll use that trick to hide it, then you don't have to worry about it. So it's kind of up to you how you want to layer those. I'm going to do this one on dimensionals. So it's kind of standing up just a little bit. And I believe I'll do it on this outside part. And pick it right there. Then I'm going to use mini dimensionals under my label. I'm going to put 3 because I don't like it sagging in the middle. And these are just the right size. I'm course, you can take the bigger ones, cut them in half. But sometimes it's kind of fun to not have to do that. And kind of eye that up. And then it is embellished with the festive pearls. And you could pick what color. I think today I'm going to use the pool party because I need to get rid of these so that I'm not continuing to just have open packages. So pick a place and pick another place. Put one, how about right there? So that's the outside. And the inside of the card has the piece of basic white liner. Go ahead and stick it down. Probably should stamp it first, but I like living on the edge sometimes. Line that up. Hello to those who are watching. I know there are a couple of you. I just don't know who you are. If you comment, I will know. I appreciate you taking the time to watch. Friends like you make this season special. Hey, sometimes living on the edge is okay. That is from Christmas to Remember, if I remember correctly. Yes. And Celebrate with Tags. All right, so remember that mitten stamp? Well, I'm going to go back and get it off of my Stamparatus. And I'm going to put it on a block, which I have right here. I believe I'll clean it. It's not going to hurt to stamp on my stamp pad. It still had the Versamark on it. And I'm going to ink it up with the Pool Party. And stamp it right there. And the envelope, what did I do with the envelope? Here's one. We can stamp I'm going to stamp the flap. So the envelope kind of matches the card. How about that? Friends like you make this season special. And be jolly, the front says. So, what do you think? I like that one. I like the color. I like the embossing. I like that little pop of the shaded spruce. It's very easy. The vellum you purchase it separately. I'm sticking all this stuff back in there. So I can get out my second card that we're going to make today. And it uses this beautiful Snowflake Vellum. Put the Christmas to Remember away. And once again, a non-traditional Christmas color. We are using Blushing Bride. So let me get out. This says God's blessing to you. And the inside, may the peace of the season light your world, and may your new year be the brightest. And it's stamped in basic gray. This one didn't have a lot of pieces necessarily, but the vellum does the work on this one. That vellum is on page, it's a little bit hidden. It's on page 40, right here in this bottom corner. And one side of it is silver. Of course, the other side really isn't usable, but some other sheets, they're flocked. And I have used just about every stitch of it. I can't even show you. We're going to use one of the flocked snowflakes. We're going to cut it out by hand as a detail on the card. But it's pictured on the same page with the Hope and Peace stamp set. And that is the great one they provided with Christian sentiments, wishing you the hope and peace of Christ this season. Emmanuel with us. I believe this one will retire. So if this is one you would like to have in your, you know, your set of stamps to use, you might want to go ahead and get it. So this is a traditional size as far as the cut. It's cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. But the fold goes to the top on this one. So it's a top fold card. And it uses these wonderful snowflakes. They were actually in last year's holiday catalog. So they brought them back. So they're a returning favorite. They call them, they will retire. So if the snowflakes catch your eye and it's something that you would like to have, you're going to want to get on that. They come in sheets. I haven't moved them. You get a lot in a package. And they're laser cut. So one side is shiny, one side is dull. I tend to use the shiny side. Now, this vellum, you do have to be a little bit careful about where you put your adhesive on it. I'm going to put it behind some of the silver elements. And then I'm going to show you a little trick that we did in class, how to kind of hide the adhesive. It doesn't have to be stuck on the edges. So kind of line that up. And if you think it's floppy along the edges, use a glue dot. And I have a long tail. Let me tear off part of that. And find a place that is loose, but is also under the silver, and just slide a glue dot. Use your pokey tool or your U-Pick-It tool and slide some glue dots. It's it lays pretty flat, so I don't think there's a big chance that it's going to cause a problem. But that's a way to hide some adhesive, especially since you do have a printed vellum to work with. I'm just going to sit here right quick and cut out around this snowflake. It is flocked. And it is such a pretty little detail. Pretty easy to cut it out. I just leave a little bit of edge. And so I hope y'all had a nice Thanksgiving. We had 2 of them. One at my son's with son and daughter and their families and my daughter-in-law's parents. And then one at my brother's. And we had all kinds of people at that one. Family, not so much family, new family, gonna be family, you name it. There were a lot of people. Okay, so I've got that cut out. Let's go ahead. I know I'm sort of jumping all over to do this one. Sorry about that. I'm kind of getting my pieces ready. So I want to be able to angle. Sorry if I've got my head in your way. To angle that. Hey, came out pretty straight. Yahoo. And I'm just going to start at the corner. Hold my scissors at the angle. And whack it off. I like to fold mine. I see other demonstrators that work on theirs before they're folded, but I like to use that edge kind of to line up my pieces to make sure they're straight. And if it's folded, I can see it better. If it's just scored, I can't see it as good. Alrighty. There we go. And let's go ahead and lay this where we think we want it. Kind of check out the layout a little bit. I don't want my snowflake hanging off the side. So that's going to determine kind of where I put that. And it's all right if this little point goes over the edge. I just don't want that snowflake hanging off. So I'm going to go ahead and put my adhesive all across the end of this. I want this puppy to stay where I put it. I'm going to hold that down and then slide this and kind of eye up. Make sure it's pretty straight. I'm going to use glue dots in the middle of this. And I'm going to do 2. I'm not stacking them. I'm trying to just get enough adhesive on the back of the snowflake so it has, oops, don't stick down yet, snowflake. There you go. Okay. And I don't believe I put a dimensional. I did not. I just put some adhesive on this. Yeah, I did too put a dimensional. Let's do that. How about if I use a regular size? It's not going to show through. If it does, I'm going to put sequins. Now the sequins I'm going to use, unfortunately, are no longer available. These gems, they're called adhesive backed sequins and gems. And the only reason I'm going to use them is to get rid of them. And I think I'm going to use, I don't know how these are going to mail, but I think I'm going to use these. And just find some places to add some pop of bling. And how about if I put one pink sequin in the middle, and then do one more. Where do I want to put it? Here. I think so, because that's got a pretty snowflake right there that I don't want to cover up. How about if we put it right there? Yeah, that looks pretty good. And I think it will mail fine. It might bump up the envelope a little bit, but it should not mess up their equipment. Do you know you can buy non-machinable stamps? They cost a little extra because that means that your piece of mail has to be handled by hand, but it does not go through the automated system, theoretically, when you have that stamp on it. So that's another option for things. It still can't be more than 1/4 of an inch thick. The things you learn whenever you make mistakes. Usually that's your best teacher. Let's see what we did on the inside, this stamp. That was all I did. I didn't have a snowflake stamp, well, fiddle, or anything like that. So let's ink this puppy up. I could use the basic gray. You know what? That's what I need to do. Excuse me while I clean that off. I just grabbed the black because it was sitting here, and basic gray got pushed over to the side. It would be fine, but basic gray is, you know, it's not as dark as black. And since it's a pastel card, all right, excuse me while I move it over here so I can see where I'm going to stamp it. Oh yeah, stamp nicely. All other demonstrators hold their breath when they stamp also. So that's my second card. God's blessings to you. Use the Hope and Peace stamp set. The inside of that greeting came from the Brightest Glow. And I had it. Don't know where I put it now. That stamp set will be retiring also. Like I said, check out that list and make sure that you've got the ones that you want. And don't wait too late. So those are my 2 cards for today. I appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.